Hi, I'm Mike Salinger. I head engineering here at TrustCloud, and I'm here today to talk to you about the TrustCloud API. The TrustCloud API gives companies the ultimate flexibility to automate common compliance tasks, extend TrustCloud to other applications within the organization, and integrate with on-prem or custom-built systems. In this video, you'll learn how to get started and some of what you can do with the TrustCloud API. Let's dive in. Navigate to Admin, and then API Access. And then click Begin Setup. First screen gives you information about prerequisites and links to documentation. Once we're ready, we can configure the API key and set an expiration period for the API key. This allows us to ensure that API keys are short-lived, which increases security. I'm going to set it for 3 months and then hit Generate Key. Once you generate the key, this key will only be available one time. Once you move off of this screen, it will no longer be readable. And in order to access it, you'll have to generate a new key. I'm going to copy that to my clipboard and then complete setup. Once I'm done, I now have an API key with an expiration of 3 months. In this example, we're going to walk through a Node.js script to validate one of our controls. And the control we're going to validate is this data store encryption control, where data stores are configured to enable encryption at rest. Now for this control, I have an automated test through TrustCloud's integrations with Amazon RDS, but I also have an on-premise SQL server. And rather than create an opening in my network to allow TrustCloud to pass through, I'm going to create an API integration in order to provide evidence for this test and to evaluate the test. The test will connect to a Microsoft SQL Server instance to validate encryption status of each database on the instance. Once that data is retrieved, we'll evaluate it to see if our test passes. That is, if all the databases on the instance are in fact encrypted at rest. And then finally, we'll submit our test results to the TrustCloud API along with supporting evidence showing that the test does indeed pass. So here we have a simple Node.js script that will first connect to a SQL Server instance and then evaluate the test. Here I pasted in the API key that I generated earlier, along with the test ID of the tests that I'm trying to provide evidence for. This is the query that I'm using to connect to SQL Server and retrieve the information about the database being encrypted. So when I start the script with this run command, I first connect to SQL Server using the Node.js's MS SQL library. And then I evaluate whether the databases are encrypted or not. And I determine whether the test passes based on the status of all of the databases. Once I finish that, here's where I connect to the TrustCloud API. Here I simply make a REST API call, passing in my API key, adding in the evidence that I generated, and making a generic API REST request. And that's all it takes to submit evidence to the TrustCloud API. Once I'm finished with submitting all of my evidence, I make a final request to complete the test and pass in the result of pass or fail. So as you can see, this test has never been run and has a due date coming up. So I'm going to execute this test. Now, as you can see, I now have a passing test showing that a list of all databases in JSON format with their encryption status is attached as evidence, and that all databases are encrypted or encryption is in progress. I can download and look at the evidence and see the raw data that was retrieved from the SQL Server instance. If you have any questions, and for a full list of possibilities of what you can do with the TrustCloud API, check out our documentation or reach out to our support team. We're here for you. Thanks for watching.